Hello everyone and welcome to the grand final edition of It Goes Off. Grantley, we've had 24 rounds of iiNet NBL competition and of course a fantastic semi-final series, although it was done fairly quickly, but some high quality games in there. And now finally, as we all expected, the Perth Wildcats and the New Zealand Breakers, it's almost a sense of deja vu. They're back in the grand final series.
It's deja vu all over again.
It is.
It's not what we... sorry, it wasn't unexpected, as you said. And I think it's probably looked that way the whole way through. And I guess the games themselves went as expected in the semi-final series. Wollongong nearly got game 2 of their series, lost in overtime. So that one... I mean, I don't know it would have been that interesting having gone to a third game. Would have been nice to have seen a third game, though.
It certainly would have been. And I think if you looked at the semi-final series on paper, you go, as expected, it was sort of just ticking the box. But there was we saw some signs from both the Perth Wildcats and the New Zealand Breakers about why they're so dominant. But we also saw some signs to say, well, hey, you know, they still have some vulnerability in there, albeit very, very small vulnerabilities. And it's going to be a fantastic final series. Unfortunately, the big news coming out of the semi-final series was the injury to Damien Martin. He's done his Achilles heel, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season, obviously. And I'd say a fair chunk of next season.
A rolled ankle would put you out for the rest of the season right now.
That's it. And it's very hard to come back from a snapped Achilles heel, Achilles tendon. So it's going to be tough. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But firstly, Grantley, just go through and give us an overview of the results in the semi-final series.
As we said, both series were sweeps for the Wildcats and the Breakers. Series 1, the Perth Wildcats in Game 1, 93-69 over the Hawks. Matt Knight and Kevin Lish had 15 points apiece for the Wildcats. For the Hawks, our man, Idriss De Leon had 16 and Tim Conrad had 16 as well. In Game 2, this was an overtime game. Wollongong 81, Perth Wildcats 85. Tim Conrad again, 16 points, led the Hawks. Sean Redditch came up with a big game for the Wildcats with 27 points to make sure they advanced to the grand final. In the second series, New Zealand Breakers 81 over the Sydney Kings 64. That was one-sided in Auckland. Thomas Abercrombie with 15 for the Breakers and Ben Madgen 15 for the Kings. And then the Breakers wrapped it up in Sydney on April Fool's Day, funnily enough. 99-88. Madgen with 29 points. So he was the high scorer for the whole semi-final series. And the man that we've tagged as an X-factor for the grand final series, CJ Bruton, 21 points. That was a big contribution for the Breakers in that win.
It was, and we saw in that game with the New Zealand series against the Sydney Kings, I think we've got to give great respect to both the Kings and also the Wollongong Hawks and congratulate them on a fantastic season. But I thought that both of those teams, when you look at the Hawks and the Kings, well coached. I think that when you look at what Sydney had in that series and you looked at it on paper, the talent level was glaring, in my opinion. And but you know, they were competitive, and the same thing in the Wollongong series. If it weren't not for the fact that Idriss De Leon had an injury in that game too, you would expect that they probably would have got that game and it's forced it into a third game. So I thought it was really good coaching by both the Gordy McLeod and Shane Hill, and they should be congratulated on what they've been able to do with clearly less talent than the top two teams.
Yeah, look, I think Gordy over history is probably in some regards perhaps a little undervalued as a coach. You know, I mean, he had West Sydney Razorbacks when they were an expansion team.
Yep. Slingers.
You know, but West Sydney went to a grand final.
Yep.
Went to a 5-game series against the Kings. And, you know, admittedly they probably had more talent than this current Wollongong lineup. But the Hawks, pretty much every season under Gordy, they don't overachieve, but they get the most out of themselves.
Spot on.
And they you know, they're competitive every single game that they step on the floor.
Well done. Speak on it. Ditto what he just said. Very well done. Hey, let's get stuck into it, Grantley. Let's have a look at this and break down this grand final series. And in particular, the loss of Damien Martin has created an opportunity for Brad Robinson to come back in. Brad Robbins, who retired halfway through the season, not in his wildest dreams do I think that he would have thought that he'd be back contending for another championship. So he's answered the SOS call. Can he have an impact given that he's missed a couple of months and be that gap that they're going to lose from not having Damien Martin?
I reckon match fitness could be an issue.
Match fitness?
I think it could be. I think it could be an issue for him. But I think if Brad Robbins is going to be one thing for the Wildcats, he's going to be a pest. You know, he might only play a few minutes here and there, but he is going to be in somebody's shorts. He's going to be inside their shirt, and he's going to be like one of those bugs that you can't get rid of. And he is just going to drive somebody crazy, and it could be enough just to turn a game and perhaps turn a series.
Well, I guess it's also making the decision to go out there and get Rhys Carter looking like a stroke of genius given what's happened, because Rhys Carter, when you think of him coming in the lineup, his experience, he's won a title with the Dragons, he's played at the highest level for a long, long time, so he's not going to be overawed by the situation at all. Plus, he fits that mould of that feisty, annoying type guard that can perhaps cause some problems for Cedric Jackson and CJ Bruton, who are going to be pretty critical factors for the New Zealand Breakers.
Yeah, and I guess the other factor with Rhys Carter is that he can shoot the basketball. If you leave him open, at your peril. And he's one of those guys that if he makes one, he starts to get his confidence. He's going to make two, he's going to make three. So in that regard, he's probably a little upgrade on Martin if he's going to take over a lot of his duties and a lot of his minutes. He can actually, shoot the basketball and score points.
Well, let's have a look at some of the matchups that we've got going on. I think they're different styles of play. You look at the Perth Wildcats, they're a helter-skelter, full court, annoying defence that they play, very, very disruptive.
Bit like you.
A little bit terminal in the half court as far as their offensive structure, although they do execute very, very well. But it's the big factor that I struggle to see how the Perth Wildcats are going to contend is really with that inside presence. Pledger is a beast down low on the defensive end. He also has improved his offensive skill. Will Hudson back in the lineup on the glass and the way he can rebound the ball, those types of issues, that's where I think New Zealand are going to have a bit of an advantage.
Well, I guess that's where Matt Knight is going to be crucial.
Well, he stretches the defence on the offensive end because he's got that mid-range, but it worries me down the other end of the floor.
Yeah, they've got a few horses, but I think, Matty Knight's obviously your man in the middle. I think, Redditch, he's a big athletic body, and I think he can probably be a factor inside. He's going to rebound the ball a lot. If he needs to go to the glass, he'll go to the glass and he'll get his 10 to a dozen rebounds for you. So, I think in that, Jesse Wagstaff, I think they're going to be okay. I think Perth, it's not like they're going to get smashed inside. Yeah. But like you say, it could be just a little, could be one of the, the little seesaw. Yep. Couple of skinny kids on one end and a fat kid on the other. It could just make a difference in which way it swings.
Well, Rob Beveridge has done an outstanding job for the Perth Wildcats for a long, long period of time. He's actually, his contract is up as far as I'm aware. This potentially could be his last time out there.
Could be the last 2 or 3 games.
I'm not sure what he's done wrong for the Wildcats to want to replace him, and I'm sure they wouldn't, but who knows with Rob Beveridge what he wants to do personally. But do you think that has a little extra spice to the challenge?
It's interesting, isn't it, that the official line was that they've put any contract talks on hold until after the finals. That's
what I can't understand why.
But for the life of me, why isn't he been signed up before?
That's what I don't understand.
Before the playoffs. So
surely, I know they have very high expectations in Perth, and they expect nothing less than championships. But
there was a little talk that there might be a little bit of friction between the coach and maybe the front office.
Oh no!
I guess
I don't know what he's done to upset or cause friction. No. He's done nothing but win.
And I guess the other thing is that he comes across, and any dealings I've had with him is that he's just the most mild-mannered, nice guy you're ever going to meet. So, look, if Perth don't want him, I'm pretty sure there's probably a couple of other teams that will we'll take him on. I mean, the other factor is he's surely in the frame for the Boomers job.
My word. I'm sure. You know, he's one of the applicants. There's still a process going on there, so that could be an option where Perth don't have a choice. Grantley, he might be moving on. Who knows?
Is he in the frame?
They're all in the frame. Absolutely, they're in the frame.
You're
There's
on
a
the
number of
selection
frames.
panel.
I am on the selection panel. That's why and I'm.
How big's the frame?
It's a pretty big frame at the moment. Good opportunity. Hey, let's move on. Also, we'll just.
So he's what, down the last couple?
He's in the mix. That's all you need to know. Hey, Grantley, let's go on.
When will he be named?
No, there's been no decision. I can 100% guarantee that. Grant, let's move on because outside of what's been going on with the NBL Grand Final Series, there's a few other things that we need to tick off. In a little section we call Tick It Off. And that one comes down to a few clubs. At the end of the regular season, they go through their reviews and do a quick analysis of what's going on. And the Adelaide 36ers and Townsville Crocs have decided to part ways with their head coaches. Paul Wolpert will no longer be the coach of the Townsville Crocs, and Marty Clark will not be the coach of the Adelaide 36ers.
No surprise about Adelaide. I mean, everyone saw that coming, way back. I'm a bit surprised about Townsville, though. I don't know what you thought. I mean, Paul, he's still got a year left on his contract, and they've decided to terminate early.
Company.
The 0-10 start to the season obviously didn't help, and then they picked up their stuff and got going, and then sort of, I guess, dropped away a little towards the end. So yeah, I don't know what your take on that is.
Well, I thought it was, if you cast your mind back 12 months, he had an extraordinary season with the Townsville Crocs, went to the playoffs. This year, starts 0-10, had some problems getting the import combination right, had to make a few changes there. Made some very good changes, bringing in Gary Irvin was huge. Luke Neville, he had a big impact. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is there. I think with the coaches, you got to look at the big picture, and certainly Paul Wolpert did a very, very good job previously. Had a tough season this time around, but that surprised me, given that he had still a year to run. No surprises with the Adelaide 36ers, but the news is that that Brett Maher will be the next head coach of the Adelaide 36ers. Now that's unofficial. I do not know that. I'm only going on the Twitter universe about where things are going. But Brett Maher, what do you make of that appointment if it goes ahead?
It's an interesting choice.
Would it be your choice, Grantley?
I think, knowing what's going on in Perth, I might hold off.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
Well, I think Brett Maher would be an outstanding coach. He doesn't have the experience.
What's his coaching experience?
Well, zero.
And I'm not saying you have to have coaching experience.
No, but he's got playing experience, and he's played the point guard position, and he was a coach on the floor. I think it's always tough when you go straight from playing without any coaching experience to the head coaching position. But if he surrounds himself with the right people, he's a favourite son of the Adelaide 36ers in the city of Adelaide, very well recognised in the community. I think he'd be a sound appointment. But there is a bit going on that perhaps they might want to just...
So you would hold off to see what Rob Beveridge is doing?
I think that you would hold off to see what everyone is doing and see check out all your options. But
who are their
Brett
other
Maher
options?
would be a great...
Who are their other options?
Well, there could be other options out there.
Well, who?
Well, there's other former coaches that are out there. You've got guys like Phil Smythe. You've got guys like Alan Westover. You've got perhaps Brian Gorgian. I'd be knocking on his door. I'd be checking and scouring the world to get the absolute very best coach. Another one that gets mentioned a lot of the time is Tab Baldwin, who was the head coach of the New Zealand Breakers. So there's plenty of options, and they may have considered him. They may have already gone through that process. So who knows? But at the end of the day, Brett Maher, quality individual, would be a fantastic coach.
What about the Crocodiles?
The Crocodiles is an interesting one. It's they are, like we said, probably considering all those options that are out there. So,
do you think they've got someone in mind? Do you think they've got someone lined up?
I think given what I know of Paul Wolpert, and I don't know of anything extraordinary that's happened that non-basketball related, but. So given that they've decided to move him on with a year to go, I suspect that in theory you'd think that they'd probably have someone else to push the button on. don't you think, Grantley?
Possibility.
Hey, we've had our say, but as we've done every single week of the iiNet NBL competition, we want you to join in the conversation, and really no more chances for you to do this because it's our last show. But we did call out for some questions last week on the NBL Facebook page, and I tell you what, the best way to keep up to date with all the goings on is to jump on the NBL website or join in the conversation on the NBL Facebook page. It is buzzing from what I hear. I'm not a Facebook man myself, but it is buzzing with conversation. So it's a good way to keep in contact. Or Twitter, @NBL is the Twitter handle, or @Andrew Gaze. Don't worry about anything else. This section we've called in honour of the great Facebook inventor, where you can join in the conversation, and it is called the Mark Zuckerberg Minute. Just probably would have preferred grand final uppity, but
we got up there.
Yeah, good. First question coming off the Facebook page, I believe this one is, and it's Daniel Deadman. No, it's not. It's Nathaniel Deadman. Sorry, Nathaniel.
It's close.
I've got some scribble out here I can't read. I need glasses. Nathaniel Deadman writes, if New Zealand win yet another title, could we see a mass exodus of players from the Breakers, or players asking for higher wages due to bringing so much to the club's trophy cabinet? Or should they stay together no matter what? Well, in theory, you'd love to see them stay together no matter what, but don't forget Dylan Boucher's moving on, so that's going to create, just through retirement, that's going to create a spot that opens up there. It is always tough when you've got players that are playing at the highest level and bringing about success. The excitement from other clubs. You've got to share the spondoolies. And the desire to get better compensation for your contribution is always going to be there. But they've done this for they've won the last 2 titles, and they've been able to keep the nucleus of the team together. They look after them. The New Zealand Breakers program is a quality on the floor and off the floor organisation. They are world class. So I don't think that they'll have some problems. And also, don't forget the point system makes it difficult for other clubs as well to go poach players.
And the New Zealand dollar goes a long way.
The New Zealand is it not quite where?
No, it's no.
New Zealand.
No, it's not.
No good. All right. But
I think the other thing with New Zealand as well is, do we know if CJ Bruton's going to play on? Is Abercrombie going to look overseas?
Europe, perhaps.
What about Cedric Jackson? You know, surely he's got to be getting big money offers, or he will be getting big money offers.
Quality player.
Yeah, I think there could actually end up being some significant turnover in New Zealand.
Who knows?
Or there could be none.
So, Nathaniel, we did our best. Hey, next up, Mark Brockenbrough. Mark Brockenbrough. How do you say it? It's off the NBL Facebook page, Mark Brockenbrough. Would the NBL benefit from each team having a marquee player that excluded from the salary cap but not points?
It could be good. I think there's a trap in getting an older name player.
Oh.
I.e., like you used...
Allen Iverson?
Yeah, I mean, see...
No good?
Well, to me, Iverson is damaged goods. Okay, he's past his best. Now, maybe if you get someone when they're, I guess, maybe got a year or 2 left in them at NBA level.
Yep.
And you can get them then, great.
Right.
But it's when they're done.
Well, the thing is...
And that maybe they've been to Europe and they're, okay, waste of time.
Well,
waste of time. Put your money into something that's good. Put your money into a player who may not be a recognised name.
Well,
but he's going to be a quality... but he's going to be a quality import. And I'll give you an example.
Please.
Okay?
Please.
How many people here had heard of Leonard Copeland before he actually got here?
A few,
None.
but not many.
None.
No.
Come on, let's be honest.
A few.
None.
The hardened NBA fan would have...
0.
Okay, none.
Right, because we're talking like pre-internet.
Okay, you've convinced me. Move on.
Right, we're talking pre-internet.
Yeah.
So no one, all due respect to the
that
great
old?
man.
Was he pre-internet?
Only just.
Right.
I think he was actually, he might have been even pre-telephone.
Was he pre-colour on the television?
He could have been.
Right.
He comes up well in black and white, though.
Right.
All right? But no one had heard of Leonard Copeland.
No, you've made that point.
All right?
Yes.
But when you sit down and you list the best imports to ever play in the NBL,
yep,
he is in your top 5.
Yep.
All right? That's the sort of guy you want.
True. As far as a quality player that can come and perform on the floor, the reason I said those retired players is because of the nature, and you know this as well as anyone, Grantley, we're not going to get one of those guys that are at peak form.
No, of course
and
not.
entice them out because there's not enough money. You know, there's the European options and all those types of things. But a guy that's finished, that's looking for not here.
No cash.
Correct. So we need to just be lucky and maybe take a risk on one of those guys, and the profile that they could bring to this sport would be tremendous.
At least if you did that, if you had that marquee situation,
yes,
you could compete with Europe to get that type of player.
Yes, bring some status and credibility to the competition. It's right there. Actually, Matt, I think I said Mark, did I? It's actually Matt. Brockenbrow. Very good question. But I'm not the judge. And what we do each week on the Mark Zuckerberg Minute is that we give away a prize to the best question. Had a couple of beauties there.
This week's prize is an absolute cracker.
This week's prize is not this trophy. That's the NBL trophy. Is a subscription to the NBL TV. Now, you're saying, well, hang on, it's the end of the season. Well, it's finals times. So you're going to get the grand final series, plus you're going to get all the off-season action. And there's a bit going on. You've got Opals, you've got Boomers, you've got some other international stuff on...
You've got Boomers and Opals.
Correct. And it's all on NBL television. And you're going to get to see it if you win this prize. So, Grantley, out of those two magnificent questions, and please, I repeat, it's Matt Brockenbrow.
Who was the other one?
Nathaniel Deadman.
Not Daniel.
No, it's not Daniel. It's Nathaniel.
Definitely Nathaniel.
Nathaniel Deadman and Matt Brockenbrow.
They were actually two good questions.
Yep.
But I think we go with Nathaniel.
You know what? I'm going to make an executive decision here.
Oh, no.
It's a tie. I'm giving them both a prize. There you go. Nathaniel and...
I think you better clear
Matt.
that. You need to clear that with the executive.
We've cleared it. We've cleared it. Nathaniel and Matt, stay on the line. You're not on the line. But we stay on the Facebook line. We'll get in contact with you very, very soon. And you'll be watching all the action on your PC. Going to be great.
Hey, you're still pre-internet, aren't you?
Hey,
you're still pre-internet.
I was thinking they're on the phone. They're not on the phone. That's how we roll. Hey, Grantley, Grand Final Series, Game 1 starts this Sunday. But please, tell the good folk out there where all the action's going to be for the Grand Final Series, Best of 3 series.
Best of 3 series, as you said, Game 1 is on Sunday, April 7 at Victor Arena in Auckland. Sold out.
Sold out?
Sold out, Victor Arena. Full house for Game 1.
Unbelievable stuff.
And you would expect nothing short of a full house at Perth Arena for Game 2.
Spoke to Nick Marvin, and ticket sales are going, I think the term is gangbusters. And what is happening there is they're just going through their members, getting them the priority seating, and then highly likely that's going to be sold out. So this week, jump on the internet, Ticket Tech, whatever it is over there in Perth, and secure a ticket, because they are as rare as rocking horse doo-doo.
So Game 2, Friday, April 12 at Perth Arena. And then Game 3, if needed.
Only if required.
Only if required. And there's a very good chance I think it will be required.
Ooh.
I think this is going to go the distance. That will be back in Auckland, Victor Arena, on Thursday, April 18.
Right.
Okay, now, every game will be shown on NBL TV.
Of course it will.
Game 1, live.
Everywhere.
2 p.m. 2
Just
p.m.
live.
around Australia. And if you are anywhere in the world,
NBL
TV.
Game 2 and Game 3, check
Because
your...
we're on the internet. You know the internet's global. You know that?
Internet. Is it really? It's not just Australia?
No, it's not just like in Melbourne.
Amazing stuff. I need to check that out. Hey, Grantley, you have been fantastic today.
I wouldn't go that far.
And fantastic the whole year. But as we're moving on, we need to tell the good folk out there how to stay in touch in the off-season because there's plenty going on. It's a buzz. E-News on the NBL website. Jump on that and subscribe to E-News, and that just keeps you up to date with your club, with the rest of the club, all the transactions going on.
Is that a bit like TMZ?
Possibly. What's TMZ? Whatever TMZ is.
Move on.
Right. So E-News is the way to subscribe, and also massive incentives now across the NBL. Every single team, major discounts available for membership packages. This is the way to support your team. Get out there and become a member. So jump on the NBL website and check out your team. And there are so many different membership packages. I'll be astounded if there's not something there perfect for you. So do that and get it there and support your team. Grantley, before we wrap this up, just a final word. We need to get tips. Tell us how the grand final series is going to unfold.
It's a very good question. I think it's going to go the distance.
Yep.
And to be honest, I really have no idea.
Well, come on.
I know. Look, I don't know. I've got a little inkling that Perth might get it.
Wow.
Even though no Damien Martin,
well,
even though there's uncertainty over the coach, I don't know.
Go back to Grantley. There's precedence for this. Go back to 1992. Game 1, Melbourne Tigers versus Southeast Melbourne Magic. The Melbourne Tigers win that game. Darren Perry, the starting point guard for the Magic, been their starting point guard the whole season, snaps, ironically, what does he snap?
Achilles.
Out. They go on and still be able to bounce back. Scotty Ninnis comes into the starting lineup, come back and unfortunately do a number on the Melbourne Tigers. But so there is precedence for that. But having said that,
your defence couldn't get them over the line.
Having said we were battered and bruised and just put up a stellar, real gutsy, heart-determined performance. But
what did you lose game 3 by?
that was 97, 96.
Sorry, was it?
Game 3 was lost by 4 or 8 or something. It was a close one.
Yeah.
Stephen Whitehead, we won't go over that. Stephen Whitehead had 3 to put us in front with a minute to go, but not that that's a long time ago.
How come he didn't pass the ball to you?
Well, he
just forgot.
He had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Now, Grantley, I say that the New Zealand Breakers are going to win their 3rd consecutive NBL title. I think the loss of Damien Martin is going to be tough, but even if he was there, I'd still would have a lean towards the New Zealand Breakers. They've been slightly ahead all season, and the home court advantage in there, and I'm tipping them to win it in 3. That's my tip. Jump on the Facebook page and join in the conversation and let us know who you think is going to be this year's iiNet NBL champion. That is all we have time for in this grand final edition. Grantley, we say thank you for all your contributions throughout the course of the season. It's been nothing short of brilliant.
I think you're going over the top.
No, it was brilliant. Okay. And we've got great feedback from the good folk out there about your contribution. And enjoy the off-season. We need to thank our sponsors and those that helped this great game of ours before we go for the very last time. And as it has done for the last couple of years, it all starts with the naming rights sponsor. They are just superb. What an organisation this is. Some of the best internet delivery you'll ever want to find. And it's
only some of the best, not the best.
Well, I take that back. That is correct. The best internet, telephone, all that type of caper. And that is, of course, the good folk at iiNet.
Connect better.
10.
And 1.
Spalding.
And far.
And Virgin Australia are going to take our championship teams international. They do that as well. They're fantastic. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Good luck to both the New Zealand Breakers and the Perth Wildcats. We hope it's going to be a cracking final series. You can watch it, like we said, on a variety of different platforms. But most importantly, thank you for joining us throughout the course of the season. We look forward to your company next season for another instalment of the #1 podcast for the NBL in universe. And it's called It Goes